Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the message from deep space. Last episode, I spent quite a while stuck on transmission number 175. You can see here that we're on 176. I think I spent like a day and a half not making any progress, checking in occasionally, not having any good ideas, reviewing what... Here, let's look at... So anyway, I went to Discord and looked for hints. There's no hints coming from the game. I didn't want to be stuck on this forever. You know, rather than I don't know. I think Discords for puzzle games are pretty good about giving hints that don't, take away the whole game from you. I think what I got was a bit more than I bargained for, but, still fine, kind of. It got me over the hump, right? I had to do something. Anyway, so let me talk you through what I think is happening here. I wish I could put up 175 here and still have this transcript up, but I guess I'll just go get 175 and we'll look at that first. So this is what we were looking at. Some new concept within Signal, which doesn't really make sense, right? They don't mean within a transmission, they mean within... I've used Signal as... It's almost like Word, right? It's a single frequency transmission, the way that, they transmit one frequency to send us the number 7, or two frequencies to send us a number that's bigger, I don't know, 15, right? They have to send a 1 and then a 7 in base 8. So those are signals for numbers, and then there's also one signal for each word that we have. So there's not really anything within a signal aside from, well, what frequency is it? And I played a little bit with that, but didn't really get anywhere. So they're introducing some new concept, and somehow that concept is within a signal, and then how big is it, or how many of them are there? and I just couldn't get that to make sense. And I guessed a bunch of small numbers that seemed plausible, numbers of how many words are in this message, even though it doesn't seem to be talking about a message, right? But I went and reviewed, am I right about what signal means? I think yes. I mean, it might not be the word you might choose. I think the translation team actually liked this word. I don't remember for sure. Maybe. But anyway, I think it's right enough. The one of these words that I don't have complete faith in is within, actually. Even though, if you look at, and this is, if you look at the dictionary for within, you can ask what the teammates think. And one of them says, oh yeah, within. Sure, that's something that he likes. And so that had me thinking for some time, yeah, this is basically right. But there were several hints that it's not right. One of which is Ackers is an idiot. And I usually don't agree with his definitions of things. So this is at least a plausible guess, but that doesn't make it right. And another is what I was looking at when I started the video. In the logs, if we scroll up to way back when we learned about within, not that high. Maybe it was already scrolled to the right place. Okay, here. Collins thought interesting, but she wasn't sure. The core meaning, I suspect that it has more of an ordinary function. So within fit for what we were doing with it at first, but the game is explicitly telling me, actually, this isn't right. It means something more general. And I was like, oh, well, when I find something where within doesn't make sense, I can reevaluate its meaning. But I don't think I really understood. The fact that this message didn't make sense to me did not make me do what I said I was going to do and go back and evaluate within. So, the other suggestions for within, let's look at that the team had are good things to think about in reevaluating my understanding of within. Construct or produce, right? I've been saying, oh, some points make up a line. You know, they're within a line if they make up a line. So that, like, lines up, right? Haha. Lines make up a shape. So, like, construct and produce totally make sense also for within. But I think they make a lot more sense for all the previous contexts where I've used within, that is. But they make a lot more sense here. So if I change within, I've lost it again, here. And instead of using one of their, oh, they like make, huh? Makes sense, yeah. So instead of using produce and construct or whatever, make is just a more general term for that. If I then go back and look at this latest transmission with that definition, well, what makes a signal? Well, we do when we reply to the meteorite, but also the meteorite itself makes a signal. Those are kind of the two things in this conversation that we know about that make signals. And there were all these hints recently about the meteor beginning to use self-reference, talking about the messages it's sending and so on. And so the hint that I got was not about whether I was right with within, because I just found a hint someone else had gotten rather than replying directly to me, but was about the meaning of this undefined signal. It's talking about the meteorite. And I thought I had guessed all the small numbers, just like anything that seemed plausible, but I guess I didn't start low enough. And 1 is actually the answer that I submitted before starting this video. That was like, oh, this is right. I see. So that's where I am. You're all caught up on that front. So let's go define that in the dictionary now and shrine it. Now, a funny thing is, we could say meteorite or meteor. I won't say meteor, because it's a meteorite, clearly. We could also say I. Might be a word for talking about itself more generally. I make the transmission. How many of me are there? But I think meteorite is more likely to be correct. Interesting that the team doesn't particularly like that. So let's recompile. I haven't even looked at this new message, the one after the one we were previously stuck on. So, yeah, meteorite. Meteorite makes signal, meteorite cardinality equals answer. Sure. So the meteorite makes transmissions, yes. Transmission cardinality? How many transmissions have I sent you? Well, 176-ish. And then it says meteorite make transmission ... Like, it's still making them? Or, hang on, I'm going to repeat this transmission, or whatever, right? So we're looking for numbers somewhere around 176. I'm not sure if it wants 176, or how many previously have there been, or don't count this one, or whatever, but I think 176 makes sense. Yeah. Meteorite transmission cardinality equals 977. So that's how many transmissions we will receive. Unless the game gets patched, I suppose. And then they say just reply 0 equals 0 to confirm receipt of the message. Fine. So we're, you know, about a fifth of the way through. Less, I think? I'm not so good at math. Yeah, less than a fifth. Heck of a game. I'm going on vacation in a few weeks. For a few weeks. And I would not be surprised if I have enough videos of this to just release one every day while I'm on vacation. I think this one is coming out before I leave, probably? I don't know. I haven't figured out when this is all getting released. But a lot of game left. Another free one. Yes, the one we just did. Sure. Yes. Eight to the 16? When did they say that? Oh, you're talking about this one. Okay, yes. Yes, so the previous message was free, and this one mentions a very large number. That is very large. What is 8 to the 16? 8 is 2 cubed. So 8 to the 16 is 2 cubed to the 16, which is 2 to the 3 times 16, which is 2 to the 48? I mean, I don't have that number memorized. But 2 to the 10 is 1,000. So a million, a billion, a trillion. We're looking at a little bit like a quarter of a quadrillion, roughly. That's a very large number indeed. Number of aliens alive? Maybe. Okay. So you're defining 2 points. One of them at the origin and the other one somewhere else. And then you're saying, if you round off its x-coordinate to a single significant figure, it's 8 to the 16. And likewise its y-coordinate. Oh. So point 0, the origin, is where the meteorite was sent from. And then it moved, and then point 1 collected it. So that's talking about the path that the meteorite took to get to us. Right? It's saying, here's how far away we are, basically, in some units that are unknown. You know, a quarter of a quadrillion somethings away, maybe. Or maybe not from it to us, but some part of the meteorite's path. Because, right, we talked earlier about how the meteorite is made of stuff that you wouldn't find on a planet. So maybe what they mean is, oh, we found this meteorite a quarter of a quadrillion miles away from our home, and we picked it up. But I feel like that kind of history is not that interesting to us, and why would they say it? Obviously, the answer is 0. I could just reply, but I'm thinking through what the point of this message is. We don't have any units yet, so this can't tell us where to find the aliens. It doesn't even have a direction, even if we did know what the units meant. But it indicates a sense of vastness. Any reasonable unit, if you go a quadrillion away of those units, it's pretty far, right? How far is a quadrillion miles in light years? $170 light years. Okay. So a quarter of that, we'd be looking at like 40 light years away. What stars are within? Well, but I don't know if it's miles. I just made that up. That's, you know, if their units are miles, then they're talking about 40 light years. Okay. Anyway, this also reminded me of another message that some more digging I did in between the last episode and this one. Not too interesting as it turns out. But this message we got way back when when they gave us a bunch of equations and then said, by the way, what's 0? And I said, yeah, it's 0. One thing I didn't think to do with all these equations is just graph them. Like, I thought maybe, try to find a simultaneous solution for all of these, but I'm not that good at algebra or whatever. And you can't anyway. But I did, in between last episode and this one, use a graphing calculator to just graph those. And of course, the first two make up a circle, because it's talking about, something equals the square root of something. And then the others are just lines, y equals plus or minus x plus or minus 1, which you can pretty much draw in. I mean, if you could draw, you could, for example. They look like this. So, and of course the lines go on forever. So for some reason, they sent me this graph. That's an important symbol to them. I think it's reasonable for them to expect me to be able to graph this. I think all of this is universal enough that it's reasonable to imagine interpreting a system of equations as a graph. And my colleagues have talked about graphs as well, so even if I didn't get that idea, the game seems to think it makes sense. So I still don't know what to make of this, but this is a symbol they thought they should send me. Maybe it's their logo or their flag or whatever, or maybe it's what they look like. Those are their 8 little fingers. That's why they work in base 8. They look like this. Could be. Who knows? So that was another thing I played with. Anyway, so this one, they just want me to say 0. Fine. Two new things. Meteorite 0. Something made Meteorite 0. So they're saying, like, is this a chain letter? So, okay, Meteorite 0. I don't quite know why they're defining this now. Like, sometimes they introduce terms before they talk about them, and sometimes they don't, right? Like, they just say, by the way, shape 0, and then they say some stuff about shape 0. Here, they're saying, okay, Meteorite 0. Maybe this is a topicalizer, just saying, hey, we're about to talk about Meteorite 0, whatever. So somebody made this meteor, and then they gave it to us, well, to someone, us, I suppose. And by the way, you should make another one. Right? I think this is a chain letter. How funny is that? Okay. Sure. So, that dictionary, we can say aliens. Yep. Aliens. All right, let's read what they have to say. Oh, that's real. You mean we're defining aliens? You may be right. Yeah, I know. You didn't have anything to say about humans? Humanity? Okay, fine. You like that better, huh? Could they be talking about us? Yeah, they seem to be. Answer. Oh, interesting. This is like the end user license agreement. I have to say true, yes we will, before I can proceed. By reading the rest of these transmissions, you agree to send out your own meteor? We'll see about that. Alright, true. No. They don't want that. Do you want false? We didn't send one? No. Okay, so I didn't quite understand that then. could reply Meteorite 1 just for kind of symmetry. I'm not sure quite why that would make sense. No. Oh. Oh! Maybe. This could be wrong, but this is a cool idea. Maybe they're asking me to fill in the next step of the process. Once we've made Meteorite 1, what should happen? Well, we should release it, and they should collect it, right? We should... Please reply? So, when you make a meteorite, don't just forward it to the next alien civilization. Send it back to us so we can chat. And you can tell us all about your planet or whatever. Because we'll already have established a language protocol. We can reply with much more concrete ideas more easily. So I guess they want humanity release. What's the order of all this stuff? Yeah. Meteorite 1 move, aliens collect, right? Yeah. What do you guys think of that? Yeah, they like it. Okay, cool. So we've got a plan. They've actually communicated something abstract to us that isn't just establishing a communication protocol, right? Establishing ways to discuss the world. They're actually now indicating actions that have taken place in the real world and that they believe should take place in the real world, right? This is a very big step. Let's see what the boss wants to hear, what he thinks of this. And these lot weren't much help. What do you mean? Are you kidding? This is the biggest breakthrough in human history. We've taken us from a world of math to a world of something new. What the future holds, we have no clue. But you made the leap, building that bridge. Broadening the realm of discussion, as Collins is often saying. You've taken all of humanity one step closer to understanding their message, and as a result, we're going to give Ackers the Employee of the Week. Though we know not what the future holds, one thing is for certain. There was a shift in the air. The meteor is taking us somewhere new. I can feel it. Continue to do what you have accomplished, week in, week out. And take this fragment of the meteorite as a trophy. I don't know if you're allowed to give those out. It might be radioactive even. You are our Employee of the Week. You earned it. Were you talking to me? I think so. So, is that the end of Act 2? I feel like it should have been. Okay, good. They fixed the words named thing. It's no longer just displaying every word I've ever seen in my life. Meteor signals. So, okay. And message. The meteorite's first sentence is, "This ain't just math anymore. With our shared understanding of logic and geometry, it would be possible for the meteor to tell us to build a computer." This guy's obsessed with computers. The nature of discussion has progressed. We're dealing with a whole new beast. It's strange calling it a breakthrough. The translation team is still undecided on what exactly the meteor communicated. They know it was something, and they each have their ideas, but we don't know what it all meant. I suppose that's the process of science. Make theories, test theories, make new theories. Even if we lack the full picture now, they'll march to the truth, I'm confident. But I do. I know. I said it. How could I have written that last message if I didn't understand what they were saying to me? Everybody's acting like we don't know what the meteorite just said, but we totally do? Maybe I will change the definition from meteorite to meteor just to save. If they're going to talk about it a lot, it would be nice to have it be a little shorter. Plus, everyone else calls it the meteor, except Ackers. So what are my thoughts? I mean... It's not quite self-addressed yet, but they're getting there. It is Act 2. Okay, return our message. My good friend Batista. Okay. Well, so I think I will continue in this same video, I guess. Do one more week because I didn't do very much new. There was big important revelations, but in terms of puzzles, most of what we've done so far was talking over what happened off camera when I got a hint. Okay, so what is this new thing you're saying to me? By the way, it turned the audio settings back down to 5 again. I had to turn them up to 10. I don't know what's up with that. I was even careful to hit save and quit instead of Alt F4. Okay, so we're learning one new thing. Okay, an idea. I guess, sure, whatever. Something. Something is a shape. Okay, I need a whiteboard. Well, what I need is pen and paper, but ideally I would be able to just type. Actually, wait a minute. Can I how much can I type in the calculator? Can I type letters? I can't. Okay. So this is clearly something like geometry, but maybe it's physics, you never know. So something is a shape. Maybe they're defining planets? Who knows? But let's work out what this equation is. X squared, that's x0 2 power. And then x1 squared, which is we're calling y squared. Add them together equals z squared. X squared plus y squared equals z squared. That's a circle, right? With radius z centered on the origin. Yeah. Okay. And there's solutions we think might actually mean, hey, try graphing this. Implies that shape 0 is a something of x2. Word could be radius, but radius equals shape doesn't really make sense. Could be circle. And that would again make sense with this idea of the first, like just a new verb or new word with no extra adornment at the beginning of a message is like a top glider. This is the chapter on circles. A circle is a shape, right? Like that. So that's possible. We could be talking about circles here. Implies that shape 0 is a circle parameterized or characterized by its radius, which is z. Oh, 3.14 and so on. Gosh, that looks like pi. So x3 pi. Okay. Oh yeah, this is a circle up for sure. This is just the word circle. The circle perimeter. Although, why don't they say the circle characterized by x2? I don't know. Why don't they say shape 0 perimeter instead of circle perimeter, right? So r equals z, in fact, right? It's not z squared, but z. So let's just change. Let's say that's r squared. So they're saying that, I mean, these are obviously the definitions for circles and so on, but let's make sure I puzzle it through and work it out the way that they're saying it. x2, that's r, times 2, r 2r, times pi. That's the perimeter of a circle for sure. 2 pi r, you got me. R squared pi is the area. Yes, that's true also. Let me just go ahead and say that that's a circle. Circle. They're talking about specific kinds of shapes. They want to bet? I guess not. Okay. So let's recompile this. Circle. Circle is a shape. Do I have it defined that equals needs a new line after it or something? What is going on with some of these? I don't have one here. Does shape have a new line before it? I might have done that to... Yeah, I could imagine doing that. Yeah, okay. We'll just say a space, thanks. Circle is a shape. And then graph this. Maybe I will change the word solutions to graph. They seem to be using it to, like... Well, I mean, but they don't really care if I draw the picture. They just want me to think about the universe of solutions. And one way to do that is to visualize it as a graph. So I'm leaving it in. Okay. Circle x2. Okay, fine. I also wonder, should I put less punctuation around these, like area and perimeter are also... They want new lines after them, I think. They must have been from before I changed the globals. The global settings. How about length? Yeah, same. Container? Now that one I must have done on purpose. I'll leave it alone, I guess. Cardinality, I think, is right. No. I mean, the thing is, cardinality often does end a sentence. Maybe it's fine to leave it here. Circle is a shape. Shape 0 implies, and I put the new line in front of this on purpose. Solutions wants a new line before and after. Have I done that? Yes, great. Okay, shape 0 is a circle. Circle perimeter is this, area is that. And then they say x4, some new variable. A squared plus B squared equals not a variable, but 9, 3 squared. Solutions shape 1? What do you mean? Oh, it does say solutions shape 0, doesn't it? There's new music. We haven't... I thought it was new at the beginning of the the week, but it didn't seem that different. I didn't remark upon it. This feels quite different from before. Anyway, so I think actually maybe Solutions doesn't want a new line after it. So like graph shape 0, graph shape 1, right? But I still insist for now on sticking with the word solutions. But maybe I don't want a new line after it anymore. So shape 1 is a circle of 3, right? That's all you want me to say? It has radius 3. Okay. Circle 0 has radius 1, and x0 is pi. Its perimeter is 2 pi. Its area is pi times 1 squared. Round it to 2 significant figures in base 8. So what is 2 pi in base 8? Well, call it 2.8. It's basically 3 1/4, right? I think that's all they want. Oh, 6 1/4, excuse me. Really? I mean, I can use the built-in calculator to do this. 2 pi. Its perimeter. Round to 2 significant figures. 3.14 times 2 is 6.28. So, where are my constants? I guess I could go get them from the reference area, but what's the cosine of 0? It's 1. Oh, that's not what I needed at all, is it? I need the opposite. I need the arc cosine of something. Arc cosine of -1, or inverse cosine. Is that the same thing as arc cosine? I'm not 100% on this stuff. All right, so I'll just go. Give me as much of not here. As much of pi as you have. 2D geometry. Yeah, I don't need your help, thank you. That's pi. Paste it. Oh, maybe it wasn't giving me an idea. Maybe it was feedback on copying and pasting. And just double it, please. Okay, copy that. Paste it here. And base 8 round it to 2 figures, please. Really? I believe you, but I also don't. Because 0.375, that's 3/8, isn't it? And 2/8 is 1/4. But this is clearly closer to 1/4 than it is to 3/8. Right? Maybe I don't understand rounding after all. So if I say round base 10, it should give me 6.3, right? Yeah. So that's what it means. Two significant figures. $6.375. Well, okay. What if I just said, convert this into base 8 for me? 6.22. Yeah. And if you round that, that's clearly closer to 6.2 than to 6.3. Nobody could argue with that. Because 2 is less than 4, which would be halfway between 0 and 8, where 8 is, of course, 10. So I could just submit that answer here, but I got to go back and learn about rounding. Clearly there's something I've missed. Oh, circles again. I submitted pi, sure. Round to one significant figure, this is 1. Round to one significant figure, it rounds down. Round this to two significant figures. Maybe I should even go read the reference page on rounding. Maybe he wrote down what the aliens think of rounding. But let me work through these exercises myself. Two significant figures, 1.98, I mean, that's like, 1.7777, like there's a lot of sevens in there. I'm not sure how many, but it's a lot. So rounding to two figures, that rounds it all up to 2. That makes sense. Half rounded to 1, that's 1. And then they said 3.375 round to just one digit. Well, that's 3 units and less than a half. So it should round down, right? That's what the successful response should be, 3. And it is. 4.5 rounded to 1. They're rounding up a half. 2.1875. Now this is very close to the boundary between rounding up and rounding down. It might be on the boundary, right? Because 2.125 is 2 1/8, right? Yes. And 2.25, so what's the difference between those? 0.125, of course. Because it's an eighth. So is... So 2.1875 is bigger than 2.125 by 0.065, right? And what do you get if you double that? Is it more or less than halfway there? 0.065 doubled is 0.13. So it's more than halfway. And it rounds up. I thought it might be exactly halfway. Let me just in case, get out a calculator, which will be off camera. How do I don't really know how to use Desmos. I used it to graph the, the circle and lines thing I showed you earlier, but I don't know how to ask it to do some simple math, so I'm just typing it into Google, I guess. What is the average of 2 plus 1/8, oops, not 2 plus 1/8, plus 2 plus 2/8 So add those together and divide by 2. Their average is 2.1875, which actually is exactly in between. So my mental arithmetic was wrong. I somehow concluded this is a little bit more than halfway, but okay, I'm glad I checked. It's exactly halfway, and they're rounding it up. Fine. This number, they're rounding to one significant digit, and it's 5. Great. No complaints there. It's less than 5.5. 5.8125 rounded to 3 digits. So that's 1 6 and then a single significant digit. And they said it's closer to 3/4, well, to 6/8 than 7/8, which I'll take your word on that, I guess. Will I? Six-eighths would be 750, which I mean, that's this, I guess, 0.75. 7/8 is 0.875, right? So it's off of that by almost 0.6. And it's off of this by more than 0.6, isn't it? Or 0.06. No. What am I doing? Yeah. So if I add 0.6 to this, 0.06, I get 0.81. So it's less. The distance from here to here is more than 0.6. But if I add 0.6 to this, what is 7/8, please? 0.875. If I add 0.6 to this, yeah, okay, I haven't quite gotten there either. All right, maybe a better question to ask would be, what is the average? What is immediately between 7/8 and 6/8? 0.8125. That's exactly what I have. Again, this is exactly in between. But it rounded down. Why would you do that? Yeah, 0.8125 is exactly between 7/8 and 6/8. But it rounded to 6/8. By the way, okay, this is message 112. Let me go fix roundings formatting, I guess. So I don't understand how they're rounding here. So they rounded up when they were exactly on the border in one circumstance, but then down when they were exactly on the border in another. And then here, they're not even on the border. They're miles from it. They're rounding the wrong way for no reason. One round is 16. Well, but what? Really? Oh, right. Because that doesn't mean round to the nearest whole. It means round to the nearest significant figure in base 8. Oh, wait, maybe I'm getting somewhere here? So this one, of course, 16 is 20, right? So to round it to one significant figure, even though 17... Yeah, they're not saying one figure left of the point. They're saying one significant figure. So this is 20 point whatever. And to get just one significant figure out of it, you say it's 20. If we humans rounded a number represented this way to one significant figure, we would also say it's 20, because 1/6 rounds up to 20. But for them, it's 20 rounding off to 20 and then ignoring all the stuff after the decimal point. So that's fine. Yeah, so here... Okay, so maybe that thinking about significant figures is what messed me up over here. Right. So here... they're rounding to 3 places. And so they have 20.6. I still don't know why it's not 20.7, because this is right in between. I don't understand how they handle rounding up or down at exactly the median. But this one, they're saying round to 2 significant figures. Those are both before the decimal point. So the fraction is just rounded up to 17. And then we say, yeah, it's 17. Okay. So pi rounded to 6 digits is whatever. E rounded to 2 digits is this. Sure. A third is 0.333 forever. Two-thirds is 0.666 forever, and this is all round. Rounding it to 3 octal digits is this, I guess, sure. Alright, I mean, who knows? And then they stopped talking about rounding. So tell me what we have in our reference about rounding, please. Round 1.1 to the nearest 1, to the nearest 100 here. Oh, I can barely tell the 8s and the 0s away, but this is 280. To the nearest 100 is 300. Place values. Nearest hundredth. Which is here, so it would be 2.56. Yeah, that's what it says. Use the place values of that base to construct numbers. 1.01 in base 2 to 3 digits is just... Well, wait a minute. I'm covering up the answer. Let me scroll up so you don't have to look to it. Oh, and then converted to base 10. Well, I don't really want to do that just yet. So, to 3 digits, that's here, right? But 0, 1, this should round up to 1, 0, shouldn't it? No. Because this would be, if there were a 1 here, this would be 1.01 and then at least a half. With a 0 here, it's at most a half. So we just, yeah, I'm not like promoting this 1 into here and then promoting that to here. It's less than half, so it should just be 1.01, right? Now this, I would have done the rounding in base 2. That is what I did. But he's saying convert it to base 10 first. 1 plus 0 plus a quarter is 1.25. I mean, to round this to 3 digits, that's basically rounding to the nearest quarter. Yeah, and that's what he's saying here, to the nearest 0.25. So I guess all the rounding is actually implicit here. You didn't even bother showing us the steps of the rounding. You just took the first 3 digits and then converted them to base 10 for us. Well, I know how to convert from base 2 to base 10. I want to know how to round, which I thought I also knew. But this base 8 rounding computation that we've done here is making me think otherwise. Actually, maybe that does round up. Because... no. What's 3/8? 3/8 is 0.375, right? Yeah. We're miles away from 3/8. We're much closer to 2/8. Because the answer is 2 pi. It's a circle with radius 1. And they even tell me, yeah, the perimeter is 2 pi. The area is pi. And then... they say, what is the perimeter, 2 pi, rounded to 2 digits? Well, the first digit is before the decimal point. It's 6. The second digit is 0.2. I don't know what this output even is. But they're saying go up by 0.09 instead of going down by 0.03? I mean, I can just like take this as given and say there's something I don't understand about rounding, but the calculator clearly does understand what the aliens think about rounding, and use the calculator every time I ever have to round something. But I wish I understood it. I mean, I'll submit 6.375. No, they don't like that either. Okay, that's actually a great relief. I spent all this time not entering what was obviously the right answer. Well, I did submit obviously the right answer, and they didn't like it. And then I said, well, what else could they want me to do but round up to 3/8 instead? But they don't want that. They don't want an answer back that includes pi. They're saying to round it. X0 is pi. We have a circle, radius 1. Its perimeter is 2 pi r, or pi d, or tau r. Its area is pi. Its perimeter rounded to 2 digits. I mean, I did this already, right? I said... well, I mean, let's let's just say I wrote 3.1415 instead of copying the whole thing. And I multiply these two. We get 6.283. Close enough for working within 2 digits, right? And then round it in base 8. 3 1/4. Wait, what? Oh. Multiply by 2 first. Multiply by 2, copy this, paste it here, round that to 2. 6.375. That's wrong. First of all, the rounding is wrong. Second, the aliens don't accept it. But they don't accept the answer I do want. Okay, did we get an idea here? Is there something I'm missing on this one? Transmission 180. Okay, well, let's hear what they had to say about the last one, which I already did. Geometric formula. What shape is that? Yeah. Oh, look at the reference tab. That's pi. Perimeter of the circle is 2 pi. Rounding it to 2 decimals. But they're not. They're, well, first of all, 2 octals. Thank you. But round 2 significant figures, they've established that that means including the ones to the left of the decimal point. The same as we do. But maybe this misunderstanding, like, I can... Maybe they do mean 1, 6 point and then 2 figures for some stupid reason? So give me pi again. Times 2. Minus 6. And then round this to 2 alien figures. Still wrong. .375. That's 0.3 in base 8. So, okay, what is this number in base 8? I feel like I looked at this, but... What? 0. Oh, no. What? This is an extremely large number. Why? This calculator is incorrect. This 8 is outside base 8, yeah. Hello? 0. What? I mean, this is a 1 input function. It shouldn't be looking at me. This is ridiculous? Okay. 0.2831853. Let's just... 2831853. Base 8, please. 0.22077. So it's got the mantissa right, but it's put an exponent of 10 to the 19 or 2 to the 19 here for some insane reason. Okay. It should be E minus 1 or something. If I did this, would you be more comfortable? Yeah, then it's 1 point whatever. Okay. Very strange. So if I rounded this to 2 places, ignoring the ones in front, it would be 0.22. So what if I said 6.22 from base 8 to base 10? 6.28125. I don't think this really should be what they want. But maybe. No. Okay. Let's go back to looking at 2D geometry again. Maybe I don't understand what a circle is. Perimeter is 2 pi r. And r is 1. And they've confirmed for me that I'm not getting r and d confused because they're saying the perimeter is 2 pi. So r is 1. Its area is just pi. 1 squared times pi. Makes sense. And then when rounding, I don't get it. This is such an easy question. But they won't take the right answer. There was that other problem back a few episodes ago when they wouldn't take the right answer, which was 8 root 12, and they wanted, something else. Some approximation of 8 root 12, and I found that upsetting. I should check about that on the Discord and see if other people are upset about it or if I misunderstood something. But in that case, it was a difficult problem. This is an easy problem that just hinges on what is rounding. And even if I didn't understand what rounding is, I have a calculator that supposedly does. There's no way that they mean round in base 10, is there? They don't know we use base 10. We haven't had a chance to tell them anything. But, I mean, just in case, I could try 2 pi rounded to 2 digits in base 10. .3. But, yeah, that's correct. There's no way they want this, right? What?! That's wrong! Because 6 point... This is crazy. How could they want me to do this in base 10? They don't know I have 10 fingers. They never told me we were switching bases. And even if they had told me, our computer is interpreting all the numbers I type in. Here's what bugs me. 6.3 is the right answer, but I want the base 8 version of 6.3, not the base 10 version. And our computer, as far as everything has told me so far, is always, when I type a number, interpreting it as base 10, except in the very early game when we had to do the conversions by hand. It's interpreting that number as base 10, and then converting it to base 8 to send to the aliens. So when they ask me to do rounding, I've been doing rounding in base 8, because that's the only base we know about in our shared communication protocol. 6.3 is just not right. Because the computer will have translated it to some crazy thing in base 8. I mean, what even is 6.3 in base 8? Can I... 6.3 in base 8, please. .23 blah 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 blah. So you can't even express that as a whole like base 8 number. Because like 3/10 is not expressible in base 8 without an infinite fraction or an infinite decimal. This makes no sense to me. I'm going to have to go to the Discord and see if someone mentioned 181 after this. This is the second time that I think the aliens are just wrong. Or that I don't understand how the computer works, I guess, in this case. Okay. Shape 0 has 4 points. Is it a circle? Well, it could be. I don't know. Well, no, I do, right? Those 4 points could lie on a circle, but they do not define a circle. New thing. Somethings. Something is a circle of radius 3. But then there's a 3-dimensional point. Consider the origin in 3 dimensions. Why? I mean... It sounds like we're talking about spheres, right? Just because it says like circles in 3 dimensions, but if this word were sphere, we'd say there's a sphere 0 with radius 1, whose area is 2. Sorry, whose area rounded to 2 digits is 4.2. Now, by area here, they must be talking, I think they're talking about spheres, but suppose that they were. The surface area of a sphere, no. Because, okay. The perimeter of a sphere is sort of analogous to its area, its perimeter. Sorry. Yeah, the surface area of a sphere is roughly analogous. It's kind of the 3-dimensional version of a perimeter. It's just the edge, right? And the volume is analogous to its area. So area is like, in 3 dimensions, area is the word for talking about volume. And perimeter is the word for talking about surface area. So the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed, right? I guess I could check. Not physics. Yeah, 4/3 pi r cubed. So 4/3 pi, I could believe that's about 4.2. I mean, we can check, but that's about right. I'm gonna have to grab pi again, aren't I? Oh, you telling me I can copy these as like... What am I copying here? Oh, this is 4 pi, I see. And this is 4/3 of pi. And the r cubed I can plug in separately. I get it, okay. So 4/3 of pi is 4.188. But it should be 4.25, right? Because that's the base 8 rounding. When did we switch to base 10 rounding? Base 8 lost in translation. Is automatically converting base 8 numbers to base 10. Yeah, I mean, this was about transmission 154. When we were talking about how digits were formed. And this was all in base 8, and I understood that even without the hint. But it doesn't make sense why the computer suddenly switched here. I mean, maybe it should be 4.25. I'm not sure of the rounding of 4/3 pi, right? Maybe it rounds up to 4 1/4, maybe down to 4 1/8, but I think it's 4 1/8. No, it's up, right? Yeah. So it should be 4.25. And that would be 2 digits. I don't get it. Something about the way the computer is behaving has changed without consulting me, and it doesn't really make sense in the fiction of the world anymore. Anyway, I mean, we're talking about spheres, clearly. So the perimeter, I mean... I'll just go grab that from the reference sheet, I guess. Paste it into the calculator. Round it to 2 digits in decimal? Oh, that's actually the same for both. Because it's the 2 digits before the decimal point. 1 2 for us, or 1 4 in base 8. So 13 is correct. X squared plus y squared plus z squared. They want me to graph it? Want me to answer what that is? I mean, it's a 4-dimensional sphere. But how am I supposed to graph? Like, what does it mean to solutions this exactly? Or to graph it? False? Sorry, I can't graph a 4-dimensional thing. I'm a 3-dimensional person. So when have they previously said solutions about a thing? So they've taken to saying like solutions and then a shape, right? I'm not in love with implies anymore, but I don't know really what it means. So we could say it's a circle of x3, but circle 0. So this is their notation for like defining a new circle. A circle numbered 0. Not like saying a 0-dimensional circle or something. And it has radius 1. But then here, they're saying circle 3. A 3-dimensional circle. So if they want me to say like circle 4 of x3, maybe? It's a 4-dimensional circle with radius x3? But they're not using the solutions notation. They're saying it's equal to. It is. A sphere is a 3-dimensional circle. And then they say, okay, we're defining a sphere number 0 now. I can't like invent a new word for them. I can't send them -49 and say, let's use this word to talk about hyperspheres. I could if this were real, but the game does not permit it, and I don't know that that would really be that convincing anyway. So saying solutions, and then they say shape. So I mean, I could say, for example, circle 4. No. Circle 4 of x3? No. Just circle of x3? It's not really a circle, right? It's not a sphere either. So when else are we seeing solutions used? What's the format they're expecting? been a while since we've talked about graphing things. This is all talking about Booleans. Okay, maybe I should actually use the table of contents here. Numerical comparisons, logic, multi-part answers. This was just about using tuples. It's not that interesting. Shapes. Yeah, I wish we had an index where I could look up where is solution used, you know? Points and lines. So here we're saying solutions. So that's interesting. They're asking me to list some points that are on this sphere, maybe? That I get. Okay. So... like that. That's an example of one point on the sphere. No. Oops. I meant to go look at transmission again, not send another. I can send another. Or I guess first, let's see if they just don't want me to specify the number of the point. Because sometimes I feel like they've done that when they don't care about it, but okay. This is what they do when they say here's an equation x, so y equals x minus 3, solutions that, and notice p0 is not part of the solutions command, right? I just don't have a new line after solutions anymore like I used to. So you say solutions, and then it says, well, here's what point 0 is, here's what point 1 is, and so on. And then they wanted me to say, oh, point 3 is what goes there. Did I try this already? So in this section, they sort of stopped talking about solutions or graphing. But clearly there's no requirement to display the solutions in any particular order or to list them in a particular order. Right? 0, 3, 4, and 8. Those are perfectly fine answers. I guess I should make sure I submit at least 4, because that's how many points are required to determine a four-dimensional circle, right? No, you need 5? Because a two-dimensional circle, 2 points is not enough. It is if you could specify which one, like... 2 points does specify a circle if one of them is the center and another one is on the edge, and you can tell which is which. But if you're just defining points on the perimeter, which is how they've defined shapes normally, you need 3 points. So you must need 5 in 4 dimensions. Okay. So I can do that. And just in case I've misunderstood, let's not specify the numbers of the points, but I don't think this will get us anywhere. Man, this is what I get for trying to do another week after, like, a fairly easy thing. It's now going on forever and I'm not making any progress on numerous problems. I got stuck on that rounding problem. But like here, this is the right format for solutions. I'm listing 5 points that are on this hypersphere. Oh no, I'm not. Got it. Okay, that's the problem. The point is... Oh wait, am I? On a normal sphere, x squared plus y squared equals z squared. Well, let's just look at a circle. X squared plus y squared equals z squared. In that case, z is a constant. It's like 1. Wait, this isn't a 4-dimensional hypercube sphere at all. It's just an ordinary sphere. Right, it's got 3 coordinates and a fixed radius, which is x3 r, I guess. So x3 should not be part. Well, I'm not so sure about this. If we were to interpret x3 as a variable that can change as the circle or sphere or hypersphere or whatever moves around, then this doesn't even describe a sphere. It describes some crazy other 4-dimensional surface, doesn't it? You would express it then more like x squared plus y squared plus z squared minus q squared equals 0. And I don't know what that graph looks like in 4-dimensional space. But I think what they're just saying is the radius is an unknown, x3 is r, but it's fixed. Then draw a sphere, choosing three-dimensional coordinates for x, y, and z in terms of the radius r. Okay, so I think actually what we're saying is point x3, 0, 0, like this. Like, do you just want this? Here's a single point? No, I hate you. Okay, P1 just in, or P0, I guess I should say, just in case. So that's 1. 0, x3, 0. That's another, right? So those are 3 points on this sphere. And I guess one more to uniquely identify the sphere, just in case that's what they want. But it won't be, of course. So do we have any ideas about this one? No, right? Do you just want me to say it's a sphere of 1? Sphere of x3, rather? Sphere? No. Sphere 0, x3, just in case? No. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to sleep on this one as well, or something. Not getting anywhere right now. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Okay. Actually, never mind. I had a brainwave just moments after I closed the recording. I went back and looked again at some of the... so this is... I've submitted the right answer off screen 20 seconds ago or something. Or off camera, excuse me. Sphere 0 is what I submitted. Solutions Sphere 0. So it is, I'm just saying it is a sphere. It is a graph of a sphere, I guess. And I got that idea by looking at, I'm not sure exactly what, one of these somewhere. I had submitted, they had said like solutions circle whatever or something. Now I've lost it. But it was one of the ones we were just looking at, I feel like. And now we're into containers and stuff. That's too far. This is too far back. Well, somewhere though they had said solutions and then the shape or whatever specific kind of shape they wanted to draw. I don't know. I'm lost. Was it much closer to being recent? The one that I read? Here. Maybe it was this one actually. Right, they defined a shape. I think this must have been it. And then they said, okay, draw that shape, or cause that shape to exist. Bring that shape into being. And doing so implies, or entails, or whatever, that that shape is a circle with radius x2. And so I feel like I should have been able to also write sphere of x3. But I think I tried that and they didn't like it. Alright, anyway, on we go. Sphere 0 with radius 2. Yeah, so what is... They're just asking me the approximate volume and surface area of a sphere with radius 2. So 4/3 pi times 4, I don't know, 16/3 times pi? Who knows? But the reference sheet for math, 3D geometry. So the volume is this, but then times, not, right, r cubed, not r squared there. So this times 8 basically is the answer, what they want up for this first thing. So it's that, but then rounded to 2 digits. Well, 33, I mean... should just be 33, right? Oh, it does round up to 34, you're right. $28? What is 33 in base 8? I mean... should be 2 and 1, right? No. 4. 4 times 8 is 32. Plus 1. So 41 is 33. But we're rounding to 2 figures, so we should get 42. And if we wanted to 4, 2 in base 8, which is 34. I don't know what base 8 round here means. What do you mean it's 28, you psycho? To 2 figures? It's 28? This base 8 round thing makes no sense to me. It gives me the wrong answer all the time. And for no reason I can see at all. Well, okay, no, hang on. So, this guy's... This makes a little bit of sense, actually. The aliens, when they talk about rounding and a number, they mean how many significant figures. I'm not sure it does make sense, but they mean how many significant digits, it seems to me. But this guy's rounding calculator, in his reference page on rounding, he talks about rounding to the nth digit. So round of 1 means round to the nearest 1, same as the aliens do, sometimes. But round of 2 doesn't mean 2 significant figures, it means round to the nearest 10, or to the nearest 7, if you're nearest 8 if you're an alien. And so it sort of makes sense that a number like 33, rounding to the nearest 8, no, 28 is insane. It's not even a multiple of 8. I don't get it, man. This guy, he does not know how to implement a calculator. The answer is 34 comma something. Now, back to the reference so we can get the area, which is this number times 4. 16 pi, basically. Squared. So that's 50. They want it rounded to 2 digits as well. So it's 50. Which is still to 2 digits in base 8. Yeah. Yes, a sphere with radius 3 does have the same surface area and volume because of the 4/3. 4/3 pi r cubed. If r is 3, 2 of those cancel and it's 4 pi squared. 4 pi r squared, which is the formula for surface area, right? So let's just take this and multiply it by 9. $113.1, and they want it rounded to the nearest 3 digits. Surely that's just the units digit. There's no, they can express this with 3 digits. Oh, I always love when we get new signals. 3 of them at once is a little daunting. But this is a chapter about the following 3 words. Oh. We're going to be talking about actual physical space in a way. You're going to start telling me, you know, height, like the coordinate, right? Like we're going to learn this one means horizontal, this one means vertical, and this one means forward back or something like that, right? Okay. Well, so we're going to get you're basically saying that a point, you're giving me names for the 3 parts, the 3 components of a point. And we won't be able to agree on what these names are, but you're saying you have names for them, I'm going to translate them into my names for them, and we can sort of talk about them. Hopefully at some point you'll tell me which direction gravity pulls in, and then we'll have at least one of these nailed down, eh? Okay. I don't even know, like, what do I call these? Like, normally I would call them X, Y, and Z, but we're already using X for variables, right? You could call them I, J, and K if you were a physicist. But I might want those later. We could call them... I could just call them up, right, and forward, I guess. Although we usually refer to these as XYZ, not ZYX, so I guess I should call them right, forward, and up, in a way. Why not? These are the three major axes of a three-dimensional coordinate system. It's 8, clearly. So shape 0 has 8 points in it. And it has 8 points. That's what you're saying. The cardinality of points within shape 0 is 8. But you're saying shape 0, point 0 is 0, 0, 0. It's a little weird that you're not just saying point 0 is 8, 0, 0. Why are you prefacing it with shape 0 when we already know that shape 0 is these 8 points? Okay. And then you're saying... What? So I think you're saying it's a cube with edge lengths of x, right? The shape 0 has... Maybe they're talking about width, breadth, and height. Or are width and breadth the same? Width, breadth, length? I don't really know exactly how that all works, but... Width, breadth, height? I think that's right. I don't know. And you want to know... It's x cardinality. I don't know what you mean by that. Do you mean its volume? But then you just say it's area. We have a word for that. And then I could say, oh, well, it's x cubed. Probably. But this is like the first time they've ever used x without an explicit number, right? When they want to talk about a variable, they say x0, and I call that x, and they say x1, and I call that y. This is, I think, the first time they've ever just said x. What is its x cardinality? What do you mean? How many x's does it have? Like, we could look at the 8 points that make up the shape's vertices. And how many of them contain an x? Well, I mean, or how many x, like, one of the points is 0, 0, 0, and one of them is XXX. Right? And, like, then there's some... There's, I guess, 3 points that have 2 zeros and an x, and 3 points that have 2 x's and a 0. So we'd be looking at 6 x's plus 3 x's is 9, 12? There are 12 x's in among the points, that, the coordinates of the points that make up the shape? I'm not very convinced by this. Uh-huh. X cubed? I don't think we're gonna like this. No. It has 8 points. Do you want to know how many edges a cube has? Or how many faces, maybe? I mean, it has 6 faces. I don't think that's what you want. 12 edges? Yeah, 12. Oh, I just submitted that, didn't I? Is it a coincidence that a cube has 12 edges and they're exactly... the unit cube has exactly 12 ones among its coordinates? Is that a coincidence or is it on purpose? I mean, on purpose, right? I mean, is there a reason that that should be the case, or is it just a coincidence that only holds for that one particular cube? What do you mean? Shape 0, what is its x cardinality? I mean, I could just start guessing every whole number between 0 and 12, or 0 and 8. And if eventually one of them will be right, and then I can analyze why that might be what they meant. Oh, maybe it's 3, because it's a 3-dimensional shape? Yeah. That's interesting. So shape 0 has 3 dimensions. It has a right dimension, a forward dimension, and an up dimension. But x, I mean, has been in our dictionary for a long time. And it means variables. And everyone agrees on this. Thing is interesting. I guess it requires 3 variables to specify x's dimensions in a way, right? So it has a height variable, a width variable, and a length variable. Kind of. And we're not giving those variables names because we don't care about their specific values. We're not doing math on them. They're properties that the cube has. How many such properties? 3. Yeah, I guess I could believe that's what you mean. Shape 0 is a small square. It's in 2 dimensions. And then you say right or forward or up. And then the points in shape 0 are right and forward. They're right. Like, I mean, previously when we saw a construction like this, it was saying this is a multiple choice question. Answer with either right or forward or up. Forward is clearly silly because the points in shape 0 are not pairs of forward and forward. I think either right or up would make sense. Let's just say right, because those are... Well, hang on. When they defined these terms... No, that... Okay, I didn't mean to submit you an empty, you dummy. I defined them as right, forward, and up because they were given to me as in that order as x, y, and z. And shape 0 has an x and a y coordinate, but no z. So I think up is wrong. I'd like to submit that and see if they'll take it. They don't. So they want right. Okay, so they do have kind of a consistent preference for order of variable use. I don't think it really is wrong to say up, because coordinate systems are arbitrary and you can define new ones whenever it's convenient. But their sort of canonical coordinate system, or ours anyway, is x, y, and z. And so a two-pointed shape has an x and a y, but not a z. Okay. Shape 0 has 4 points, so it's a quadrilateral. Well, is it? I guess since we're talking about 3 dimensions, it could be a... What do you call, like, a triangle that... Like a 3-dimensional... Like the shape of a D4, right? A triangular base with a prism that kind of telescopes upward to a point? I don't know what you call that. Is that an icosahedron, maybe? Or is that the 8-sided one? I don't know. I think it's an icosahedron. Icosahedron? Icosahedron. So, now that we're talking about multiple dimensions, I should not necessarily assume this is a square. But then they say... these points are in 2 dimensions. Okay. So let me get out the whiteboard. We have 0, 0 here. Then 0, 6 here. Then 2, 6, which is here. And then 2, 0, which is here. So now we're talking about the dimensions of this thing, right? Its right length, which is its x, is 2. And its forward length, which is its y, is 6. So you just want me to say 2, 6. A circle with 2 dimensions A circle has 2 dimensions. Yes. I agree. And then you want me to make a circle. But all the times I've seen this notation of circle paren, what goes in the parens is the radius of the circle. But I could put anything there, right? And it would still be a valid circle. Like, circle of 1, right? A radius 1 circle. But they're not going to like this, no. Hard to think about the problem because the music is just so upbeat. I want to dance instead, you know? A circle's cardinality is 2. No argument there. Or a circle's number of dimensions is 2. You want me to just say x? I don't think so. Oops, that's 1x. Didn't erase the previous message. No, they don't like that. Of course not. Because it doesn't make any sense. I don't think we've ever defined a circle by specifying points on it, have we? I mean, I could say P00, P10 or something. Oh, but that would not really be the circle I meant. 0, 1, 1, 0. Those are both on the unit circle. I could submit those, but they're not going to like this. A circle has 2 dimensions. Circle? Yes. Okay. I mean... So this is a little weird. They've been saying shape 0, point. So do they want me to maybe just say, yeah, circles also have up and forward dimensions? Those are the dimensions they have? No. Oh, that's right. They want me to say not just the dimensions, but also, like, then the word dimension. The right dimension and the forward dimension? Up X, forward X? No. But that is what shape 0 has. In this example, it has 3 dimensions. And a circle has 2, as you said. Right, because this is very much like this message here. They defined a shape with 3 dimensions, and they said that shape's x cardinality is 3. That was what I was supposed to say to them. Here they're saying x cardinality is 2. And they also said, oh, that shape has right, forward, and up dimensions. Here, why can't I say... Oh, these are not the same dimensions. Right x, forward x? These were the dimensions in the wrong order, which could be fine, you know, since coordinate systems are arbitrary, but no, they don't like this. Any chance you just want right and forward? I don't think so. It is! Why? Because earlier, when you wanted answers of just right and forward, you said the shape 0 has points that are like this. But when you just talked about the shape itself, you wanted me to put the word dimension in there, or x. I mean, I can say right, forward, up, and be done with this one as well, I imagine. I don't quite understand the notation here, but maybe it's not the most important thing. Huh. This is an interesting way to put it. They're saying let's make a little chart here of spheres indexed by their area as one sort of thing, and then their dimensions, right, forward, and up. And then sphere 0 looks like this, sphere 1 looks like this, sphere 2 looks like that. And I guess they're asking me for the next sphere in this sequence, sphere 4. But I don't understand the sequence. A sphere with an area of 1. But it has no right, forward, or up? They're all 0? Okay, the next sphere has an area of 3, which, recall, is actually its volume. Well, I mean, I guess I can just follow this seems to be a linear pattern. Sphere 4 would have area 9, and then it would be 4, 8, 0, right? Because just each of these columns appears to be linear. But I don't understand what this has to do with the area and dimensions of a sphere. I guess I'll submit that. Oh, shut up. Sphere 4, 9, and then 4, 8, 0? But why? Yeah, they liked it. Sphere. So now these seem to be a bunch of spheres, all with area 1. And it... But these aren't points on the sphere, right? I mean, I guess they could be. Because sphere 0 has radius 1. That's what sphere 0, paren 1 means. Isn't it? But so then why here did they use area? Volume. So if I thought this were the radius, would these points start to make more sense? They might. No. The radius of 1, 0, 0, 0, is not on that sphere. I mean, I guess it could be if you centered the sphere somewhere other than the origin. But then how am I supposed to figure out where anything is centered? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what this is doing here. And we seem to be counting out all of the points that define, like, not a sphere, but a cube. But we're calling them spheres. Well, no, I mean, okay. So maybe this notation of sphere n, which sphere, parentheses its radius, I believe, not its area. Don't understand why they're using area here yet. But that's how we've defined spheres and circles before, is parentheses the radius. Then parentheses again, defining perhaps their center. So this would be 8 different spheres, each of radius 1, centered on all the points that make up a cube whose center is the origin. Right? Like that's what this seems to describe. A sphere packing problem, almost. And then they're saying spheres 0 through 7 constitute shape 0. I mean, I know what to put here. And if you do that, see, each of these spheres is touching exactly 3 other spheres, right? They're tangent to each of 3 other spheres, because each one is the corner of a cube. And just big enough to barely reach each of the 3 axes, right? Yeah, I think so. And so there's one other sphere that meets each of them at each axis. And so if you put together those 8 spheres, you do get a kind of weird 3-dimensional shape that's like 4 balls in a square formation and 4 more balls on top of them in a square formation, perfectly balanced. Right? That's a shape, I guess. It's not a regular shape, that's for sure. But it doesn't, like, overlap itself or anything. Huh. Okay, so which one is left? Just 1, 1, 1? Yikes. Well... okay, sure. So there's a giant sphere at the origin, and a tiny sphere way off in the x direction. Move sphere 1 around as much as you like. Which one is bigger? Sphere 0, right? So sphere 1, smaller sphere 0. New concept. Here's a new concept. The shape of a sphere, the graph of a sphere, whatever, is an example of that new concept. But you don't have to understand the concept yet. Just tell us the answer is 0 and we'll continue. Oops. I mean, I guess I want to send them back this. right? Like it is well, it's a, what do you call, like, it's a surface, right? It's a three-dimensional object. It's not a polyhedron necessarily, but it's a surface, I guess. Is that what you're looking for? It's a three-dimensional shape. New topic. So X0 ranges between 0 and 64. So it's a... obviously the answer is 0. But this is something to do with bounding the number of digits in X, but it's not quite, because it ranges between 0 and 100 in base 8, right? Less than 65 means it's most 64, which is 100. So it's not saying, oh, it's a 2-digit number or something. It's at most just barely big enough to require 3 digits. Okay. Tell me more. Some surface, a three-dimensional shape, has right, forward, and up as properties. It also has an area, which is volume in 3 dimensions. And it has I mean, it has a perimeter, but that's not really what they're talking about. It has a center? Like it has width, height, and breadth, and volume, and... density? I don't know. Okay, but they're saying that that's a property a surface can have, maybe. And a sphere with radius of r, let's say x3 is r here, then we define a point. Is that how we defined points on a sphere before? I'm not sure if these were points on a sphere or like the sphere's center. I think this should be the sphere's center, really, right? Because this is enough to uniquely locate a sphere in space. And then here, yeah. Yeah. So a sphere has a radius and then a center. Oh, I misread. I thought this was a comma, and they were giving me 4 definite coordinates to a circle. That's why I was so confused. Figuring out which of these is area or something. But no, 8.5. Okay. So they're not defining a surface here. They're expressing a notation for describing surfaces, I think. A way to describe a surface is by giving its offset from the origin. And then its area, and then it's whatever this fifth property is. Where area, of course, means volume. Well, then this sphere is simply, you've already told me all the things. It's a surface with properties -1, 12, 8.5. Did you want parentheses? You already wrote the parentheses for me, right? Yeah. So -1, 12, 8.5. You said the area was 32. No, the area was x3. And the something else was 32. So I can say x3, 32 here, but I think they're not going to like this. They're going to want me to write 1 instead, because if a sphere's radius is the same as its area... Oh, that's not 1. What sphere has a radius equal to its volume? A weird sphere, that's what. So maybe they do want me to just refer to x3 here and just understand the notational way they're describing surfaces for now. Yes, okay. I still haven't figured this one out, really, right? I mean, there's a new kind of understanding of graphing a surface, I guess. And they're just going to say answer is 0, but like 54, I didn't really understand this. It's a property that a shape has. Its location and its area. I don't know. I don't know this one either. Well, clearly, they haven't really told me enough to figure anything out, but go on. Surface cardinality. So the size of a surface, maybe? Or number of surfaces? This is not consistent with how they've used surface before. Surface has parentheses and then the 5 properties. But here they're just using surface and then like 5 numbers. So you're asking how many different surfaces there are? Are some of these the same? This one and this one. No, they're different as well. These all look different to me. Do you just want me to say 6? There are 6 surfaces? This is like a higher level idea of a shape. It's an object composed of 6 different non-touching surfaces, maybe? There are 6 surfaces here. Okay. Well, Well, yeah, you're right. We already have containers for talking about composite objects. So there's something else that is the concept of those 6 surfaces put together. So container 0 has these 3 surfaces. Container 1 has these 4 surfaces. Which one is bigger? Well, the one with 4 surfaces, I think. But maybe not, because they're defining... So, they never define what surface 0 is. They're just sort of implying it by listing it first, which isn't how they've done things previously. I wonder if this 53 is not a kind of physical object at all, but a notational convention saying, okay, we could have said surface 0 parens a bunch of things, right? And then surface 1 parens a bunch of things. But I'd like to use the signal 53 shorthand convention and then list 7 things, and you just assign them numbers in order of that they were listed in. Right? I still don't understand this 5th parameter. It's 0 for 3 of these, and 32 for these. What are my unknown words? Yeah, we got 54 first, and then 53. So this 32 is the property 54. So, I mean, this is like... Alright, sorry for the little jump here. A couple of minutes ago, OBS gave me a notification that it had run out of disk space, which I did not notice. And then I finished solving the problem. So I don't know exactly where I left off in describing how my understanding of these shapes was. But I ended up coming to the point that there were 3 shapes in container 0, but 4 shapes in container 1. And the area, i.e. volume, of the shapes in container 0 is bigger. So even though there were fewer shapes in container 0, they didn't ask which one has more shapes, they asked which one is bigger, using words that have only previously been used for geometric area. So I said actually shape 0 is bigger, even though or container 0 is bigger, even though it has fewer things. And then I noticed that I had run out of space. These videos are huge because of all the stupid visual distortion that doesn't compress very well. And then you upload it to YouTube and it just like lossily compresses all the visual noise out. So I'm just wasting a bunch of disk space on making the videos harder to see, and then wasting a bunch of bandwidth on uploading them. And then YouTube strips it all out, and like, what a waste. But it's been a long time since I ran out of video or disk space during a recording, and I didn't notice it was happening. But yeah, these are enormous videos. 10 times the size of my average video. And much larger than, like, you know, like a bridge video where it's pretty much a static scene that doesn't change very much. Anyway, it's been a long video, but let's wrap up the end of week notes and then finally end this one. I regret continuing after finishing Act 2. Oh well. Where's Batista? Didn't he call this meeting? I think to get rid of us. I wouldn't put it like that, yes, but he said it was best we left the room. Just a moment. He's doing so in our best interests. He said he needed us to step away so he could program something. If we didn't have some new program, it would be difficult to continue. So this is like a 3D shape grapher? Maybe? Better not be more confetti. And then we distracted him. We cracked the alien's language. We learned how to communicate what a sphere is. And we mastered energy and intergalactic travel. Well, we're getting there, yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Sure. Just chit-chat. Did you ever get some clarity on the transmission we discussed last week? Well, yeah, we know what they want. They want us to send a reply. All right. I still don't like density in shorthand, obviously. Place spheres, yeah. Kind of hoping I get a trophy. Yep. Just wasn't even here. It was a surprisingly mundane week for how climactic last week's transmissions appeared. Perhaps I've missed some of the subtext of the latest transmissions, or perhaps it's merely building to a new peak. Still never found out what that confetti was all about. Sounds mischievous. Yeah, I mean... Sure. Okay, and now I have to edit together these last 3 recordings. Blech. And that's going to mess up. It's going to be another nuisance because video editing software makes really large scratch files. Oh well. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.